Do you know which one I am? The question, simple yet bone-chilling, echoed in the courtroom. Gasps, murmurs, and stunned silence followed. The girl who asked it had the face of the twin who died. And no one, no lawyer, no judge, not even her foster mother, could say for sure which twin had lived. It all began one rainy evening in a quiet suburban neighborhood outside Atlanta. Angela Matthews, 42, a single white foster mother with no biological children of her own, called 911 with a trembling voice. My daughter, she's not breathing. She's in the tub. When paramedics arrived, they found 10-year-old Zuri, or at least a girl who said she was Zuri, lifeless in a half-filled bathtub. Angela was in hysterics. The bathroom was soaked. The faucet was still dripping. But something didn't sit right. Why hadn't Angela noticed sooner? Why was there a bruise on the girl's temple? And where was the twin, Zoe, when it happened? The media exploded. A white woman accused in the death of a black foster child? The nation snapped to attention. Twitter trended with hashtag Justice for Zuri. But things weren't so simple. Zoe, alive, quiet, and eerily composed, refused to speak to police. She would barely eat. She wouldn't even look at Angela. Then one day, during a preliminary hearing, Zoe walked to the witness stand. She stared at Angela. Then she turned to the judge. I want to talk now. The courtroom fell into silence. The judge raised an eyebrow. The defense attorney leaned forward. Do you understand what you're about to do? The judge asked. Zoe nodded. Yes, because I lied, and someone died because of it. The audience gasped. What had she lied about? Was Angela not the villain the world had painted her to be? Was Zuri even really dead? Zoe's words stunned the courtroom. I lied about being Zuri. Angela's mouth dropped open. The prosecutor dropped her pen. The public defender blinked twice, unsure if he had misheard. Even the judge leaned forward. Wait, what do you mean? He asked. Zoe swallowed hard. Her eyes welled up. Her voice quivered. I said I was Zuri when they found me, because I thought Zuri would get more love. She was always the favorite. Angela stood, mouth trembling, eyes filling with shock and something else, relief? Zoe or Zuri? Clutched the sides of the witness stand. Angela never hurt us. But the night Zuri died, we were fighting. I pushed her. She slipped. She hit her head. And I ran. I hid. When I came back, she was gone. I panicked. I told Angela I was Zuri. She didn't know. She couldn't tell us apart without our necklaces. The media had a field day. The narrative began to shift. Angela, once painted as a possible abuser, was now a woman caught in the web of a traumatized child's mistaken identity. But not everyone believed the confession. Detective Karen Pollard, a no-nonsense black woman with 2 decades on the force, wasn't satisfied. Something's not right, she told her partner. This girl's story, it's too neat, too practiced. So she started digging, and what she found cracked the case wide open. Angela wasn't new to foster care. Zuri and Zoe were her 6th placement. 2 of the others had been removed quietly. No charges, no public record, but plenty of hospital visits. And then there was the letter, discovered by accident when one of the twin school notebooks was submitted into evidence. Scrawled in messy pencil. If anything happens to me, check under the stairs. Angela says we have to keep the secret or they'll take us away. Who wrote the note? What was hidden under the stairs? And was Zoe, whichever twin she was, really telling the whole truth? Detective Pollard didn't sleep that night. Something about the letter gnawed at her. It wasn't just a child's scribble. It was a cry for help. She returned to the Matthews home with a warrant before sunrise. Angela, still recovering from the storm of headlines and public accusations, opened the door, robe tied tight, eyes hollow. Pollard didn't wait. We're searching the house, top to bottom. Angela nodded. She didn't even ask why. They found it behind a panel beneath the stairs. A narrow crawl space, moldy carpet, damp insulation, and a locked wooden box. Inside, a collection of photos, some Polaroids, showing Zuri and Zoe with visible bruises. A small journal in a child's handwriting. Daily entries that detailed punishments, secrets, and chilling quotes from Angela. And a necklace, one of the matching heart-shaped pendants the twins always wore. It was broken in two. She said only one of us was real. One entry read, asterisk. She said Zuri was the devil's twin. Pollard stepped outside, gripping the box. Her breath fogged in the morning cold. "We've got her," she said. She didn't just foster those girls. She broke them, one piece at a time. Meanwhile, back at the juvenile holding facility, Zoe, or Zuri, was unraveling. She refused meals. She talked to herself. One of the guards reported hearing her whisper, "If I die, maybe they'll finally know who I really was." Psych evaluators were brought in. The lead psychiatrist, Dr. Howard, a trauma specialist from Emory, sat down across from her. "Tell me what happened that night." "All of it." Her eyes, wide and glassy, flickered. "She made us play a game. One was the good girl. One was the bad girl. We switched every week. And if the bad girl messed up, there was punishment." "What kind of punishment?" She looked away. Then quietly, she held our heads under, in the tub, said it was baptism, said it washed away our sins. But sometimes she held us too long. And that night, Zuri didn't come up. The confession was devastating. But Paula was about to uncover one last, sickening twist. The game didn't start with Zuri and Zoe. There had been others, and some had never been found. The new nanny had only been in the house for 2 weeks when she found the tape. Clara Johnson was a recent widow, mid-50s, with kind eyes and a sharp intuition sharpened by raising 3 kids of her own. Hired after the storm of media coverage began to quiet. She was there under court supervision, Angela's custody still pending review. Clara didn't trust Angela from the start. The way she hovered, the way she snapped if Clara asked too many questions, the way Zoe, or whoever she really was, flinched when Angela's voice rose. One night, Clara was organized in a laundry closet when she noticed a VHS cassette wedged behind an old shoebox. Faded label, punishment, 6/12. Her heart sank. She locked herself in the guest bathroom, slid the tape into the portable player she brought from her own home, and hit play. Static. Then, the sound of water running. A young voice sobbing. Angela's voice eerily calm. You know what happens when bad girls lie. Then splashing. Then silence. Clara pressed pause. She was shaking. She didn't wait until morning. She called Paula directly. "Detective, you need to come get this. Tonight." By the next day, Angela Matthews was in handcuffs, charged with second-degree murder, child endangerment, and multiple counts of abuse across 3 prior placements. But the courtroom wasn't the end of the story, because Zuri, still hadn't said her real name. She was bouncing between foster homes, sleepless nights, and identity spirals. And now a new problem. Someone claiming to be their biological grandmother had come forward, with proof that neither Zuri nor Zoe were ever officially adopted, and she wanted custody. Was the mystery woman really their grandmother, or another player in a twisted game of identity, trauma, and custody? And would the truth finally come out about who really died that night in the tub? The rain returned the next morning, but it wasn't the gentle type that kissed the windows and invited warm cocoa. It slammed into the mansion like it had a personal vendetta. The mansion, already soaked in silence and tension, somehow felt colder, more distant. Every sound was magnified. Every shadow now held meaning. Eloise moved quietly, her slippers whispering across the marble floor. She passed a family portrait hanging above the staircase. John, a younger version of himself, holding the twins in his arms, Amelia's late mother beaming beside him. Her eyes lingered on the face of one of the girls in the photo, Ari. But she knew that wasn't the girl sleeping in the pink bed upstairs. The DNA test had arrived. It sat in her apron pocket, sealed. The result she hadn't dared open yet. She wasn't their mother, not biologically, but she had become something else, hadn't she? Their protector, the one they ran to in the night, the one who held them when the ghost came. But still this was bigger than her. And if it was what she suspected, it meant someone had lied for years. John hadn't been home all night, not since he stormed out with his phone glued to his ear. He hadn't responded to her texts, either. Eloise had spent the night curled up in a reading chair outside the twins' room, watching, waiting, holding the test results like a live wire. Downstairs, the front door opened. Water hit the foyer tile. John, his eyes were bloodshot, lips tight. "We need to talk." She stood, holding the envelope like it had weight. "So do I." But before she could hand it over, a loud bang came from upstairs. They both froze, then ran. The twins' bedroom door was wide open. The room looked like a storm had passed through it. Bedsheets tossed, toys scattered. The wardrobe open, clothes strewn. But only one child remained. "Where's Amara?" John roared. Ari was hiding under the bed, shaking. Her hands clutched something tightly, a small locket Eloise had never seen before. She crawled out, her tear-streaked face full of panic. A lady came to the window. She called her Mira. She said she was taking her home. John's knees buckled. He collapsed onto bed, breath gone. Eloise felt her world tilt. What did the woman look like? Ari whispered. "She looked like you, but with white eyes." John rose, checked the security. "Now!" Eloise sprinted downstairs to the study. The CCTV feed was running, but the footage from the night had been wiped. Clean, almost professionally. "She's gone," Eloise said when she returned. "And whoever took her knew exactly what they were doing." John's face was pale. "I need to tell you something I should have told you months ago. Maybe years." He pulled out a manila envelope from his coat. "Soaked at the edges. This is from my wife's father. The one you never met. The one I told you is dead." He opened the envelope and dumped its contents. An old birth certificate, an adoption contract, a letter signed by a bishop. Eloise's heart pounded. "We adopted Ari and Amara after the miscarriage. Amelia was never able to carry again. Her father arranged everything. Told me the girls were abandoned at a mission school in Georgia. Said they were ours now. He handled the legal papers himself. I never questioned it. I didn't want to." Eloise's breath hitched. "Why bring this up now?" John's voice cracked. "Because the bishop that signed this, he died 6 years ago. 2 years before these girls were even born." She stepped back. "Then who are they?" A sharp knock came at the front door. 3 loud pounds. They turned. John walked slowly to the door, opened it. 2 men in dark suits stood outside. One wore a federal badge around his neck. The other carried a briefcase. "Mr. Cartwright? I'm Agent Levin. We need to speak to you immediately about a long-standing child trafficking investigation." Eloise felt the floor sway beneath her. Agent Levin continued. "It concerns your daughters and a Bishop Harlan believed to be dead, but recently spotted in Mexico." Everything stopped. Then Ari screamed from upstairs. John and Eloise ran, but when they got there, her bed was empty too. The window was open. Both twins were gone. The sun never really rose that day. The clouds hung heavy, as if the sky itself was mourning. In the silence of the mansion, John stood frozen before the open window, staring out into nothing. Eloise's breath was shaky as she clutched the locket Ari had left behind. Inside it wasn't a photo, but a microchip. Agent Levin was already on his radio, his partner unfurling maps and surveillance photos across the dining table. They weren't taken, the agent said flatly. They were activated. The twins were part of something larger, something international. And Bishop Harlan? He's the orchestrator. John shook his head. "What do you mean activated?" Agent Levin handed him a photo. It was grainy but unmistakable. 2 children, Ari and Amara, standing beside Harlan in a remote compound in the Mexican highlands. The timestamp was 2 weeks ago. Eloise gasped. How? How is that possible?" "Cloning," the agent replied. "But not just science. Rituals, cult practices, government offshoots. We've seen pieces of it before. Children bred for intelligence, silence, obedience. But these girls, they were different. The test confirmed it." John collapsed into the chair. "We were never meant to be their family." "No," Levin replied. "You were meant to be their cage." Suddenly, a phone buzzed. Not John's, not Eloise's, Agent Levin's. He answered, then stiffened. Put on speaker. A distorted voice filled the room. I warned you, Agent. They were never yours to protect. Eloise's hand tightened around the microchip. Where are they? Laughter. Then silence. Then, the bishop welcomes you to the final move. The line cut. Levin looked at Eloise. You know them better than anyone. We need your help. She nodded slowly. I'll find them. I'll bring them back. But when I do, we burn everything down. John whispered, including the bishop. Eloise's eyes darkened, especially the bishop. Outside, the storm finally broke. Thunder shook the glass. And somewhere far from home, two little girls looked up at a man in robes. Ready? He asked them. Ari blinked slowly. Let the game begin.